Can we have that is going to speak, please come up, all speakers? Please come to the podium.
Thank you. Hello and good morning. I'm Lois Blevins. I'm the founder and president of the National Center for Citizen Safety. The NextSafe organization is very grateful for your support of our mission, your attendance here today. The center's mission is to promote public safety and awareness in response to the epidemic levels of acts of domestic terrorism occurring in our homeland. Offers resources as well as bring survivors together across the nation. Over the last year, our organization has conducted multiple training classes to the public at large and partnered with such entities as the Howard County Public Library, federal and state law enforcement, businesses, and several universities. We've trained hundreds of citizens over the last year and are proud and continue to begin moving forward with businesses and more citizens in other counties across Maryland and the surrounding state. Just as every child and adult has learned to stop, drop, and roll, our organization would like each of you to know how to run, hide, and fight, as taught by the Department of Homeland Security and us. Please visit our website, which is listed in our brochure, along with the 24-hour toll-free number and a cyber tip line, race packet that you received today. Pass this critical information on to your family and friends. Let's make our public safety campaign as familiar and commonplace as the stop, drop, and roll that everybody knows, learned over the years. Many thanks to our incredible sponsors, our awesome volunteers, my interns, and all the speakers here today for your heartwarming support in making this race and our organization an absolute success. A special thanks again goes out to my interns. If you would raise your hands, they have made this day came together. We worked really hard all summer, and my thanks is to all. Please visit our sponsors behind you in the festivities area and let them know that we all appreciate their support in helping advance our mission. We invite everyone to stay for a post-race ceremony where we'll award the top overall runners 1 through 4 and the top runners 1 through 2, 1 and 2 in multiple age categories, both for male and female. So lots of awards to be had today, guys and girls. Our short pre-ceremony right now will honor several survivors: Oklahoma bombing, Boston Marathon bombing, the 9/11 attack, and the Navy Yard incident. Our first speaker is the infamous Hector Hernandez, is a Deputy Special Agent in charge with the United States Secret Service. Hector began his federal career in Oklahoma with the Social Security Administration in 1989, and later was transferred to a field office in Texas in 1990. After having worked in Texas, Hector still had many ties to friends in Alfred P. Murray Building. On April 19th, 1995, the Oklahoma incident occurred. And on that tragic day, Hector felt a call to duty. Having had several friends in the federal building, he served as a first responder to the incident. Mr. Hernandez's bravery in aiding in the aftermath was unmatched. Working long hours of search and recovery and going through an extremely emotional aftermath, Hector worked tirelessly to recover the fallen. Hector was not only a survivor, but he lost many, many good friends that day. Hector?
Thank you. Thank you, Lois, for such a wonderful introduction. Welcome, everybody. Is everybody ready to get going? Little run this morning? There we go. Wake up. Help me wake up. I especially want to thank you for having the vision, the courage, the fortitude to start the National Center for Citizen Safety. Being the founder and the president of such an important organization is not an easy task. I know that today's event is only one highlight of what you and the NCC Safe do throughout the year. Training and the information that you provide to the public on safety and awareness, in my opinion, is critical to our society in today's threat environment. It's a heavy put on events like this, so please join me again in thanking Lois, other special guest speakers, our sponsors and vendors, especially all of the volunteers. Let's give them a round of applause. Let's also give a round of applause for the disregard. Domestic, that's for Erica. Domestic and international terrorism has dramatically increased over the last few years, seems to be on the rise. We are reminded of this by the terrible acts of violence that took a few days in Barcelona, Spain. That's why the purpose and the mission of this organization is so close to my heart. With this training and awareness, it gives people like you and me an opportunity to take more control and have better preparation during a critical incident. I'm in the risk management business and believe having a plan, know what to do, can make a difference between getting home to your family or. On April 19, 1995, as one of the first domestic terrorist attacks that took place in the United States, a disturbed and sick individual by the name of Timothy McVeigh brought death, fear, and pain to Oklahoma City by setting off an explosion in front of the Alfred P. Murrah building, which killed 168 people, including 19 children, and injured over 500. This cowardly act at the time was considered the worst terrorist attack to take place on U.S. soil. When I heard about the attack, my heart immediately, and you see I had previously worked in that building and lost many close friends. The U.S. Secret Service suffered the most loss of all law enforcement agencies. I was assigned to the Dallas field office at the time and was one of the first responders from the Secret Service on the scene. The death and all that came with such a horrific event I can never erase from my mind. However, the most damage, which I will always be haunted with, even today, is my broken heart for the victim, for the survivors and the grieving families. I spent many days digging, helping recover what I could for families, knowing that they would need closure. These memories that I have lived with for a long time seem dark, but was a big, bright, and wonderful light at the end of the whole experience, and that was hope. Our country needs hope, but it also needs to take control. It needs to gain its confidence back. It needs to take a look at terror in the eyes and say, sorry, not today, not now, not anymore. Us and the NCC SAFE have started the movement, but it takes all of us to keep going. So please continue to support and to spread the word, and so our children live in a country that is prepared, aware, and safe. Thank you very much.
All right, so it is my honor to introduce the next guest speaker. This is, I think, our third time together, and it's just such an honor to be here with such a strong and such a courageous person. So let me get started here. Erica Brannick, another amazing survivor, is here with us today. Erica was at the finish line at the Boston Marathon on April 15, 2013. When the unimaginable happened. In the light of her tragic experience with terrorism, Erica continued to give back to the community, teaching preschool children about community awareness, safety, and diversity. Erica is just finishing the writing of an adolescent book focusing on helping children understand that when troublesome things happen to you, it's not going to defeat you. The main character is a dragonfly, which symbolizes change for some, but for Erica represents strength over adversity. This book will epitomize the struggles Erica has gone through on her survivor journey. And in addition, the book will also be released February 2018. So without further ado, Erica.
Somehow you guys always get me to cry. Someone once said, a year ago, everything was different. And now that I look back, I realize a year can do a lot to a person. This quote means more and more to me every day, every year that passes since the Boston Marathon bombing. Every year, I remember where I was and what I felt at every second of those hours since the bombs went off. I am reminded every day when I get out of bed what has happened to me. But just as quickly, I am reminded of the amazing things I have done from the time of my injury. Nothing truly changes or erases what happens, but we all learn to live with the destinies we are given. We all learn to move forward in our own ways and cope the way we want. I read a quote before that said, healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives. Each day I put one foot in front of the other, now fake foot, and tackle my day whatever it may be. I have learned slowly that a little progress each day adds up to big results. Whatever I do to push myself the day before makes more of an impact in the long run. So each day when I wake up, I remember a quote I read that said, if you're lucky enough to get a second chance, don't waste it. Every day I have on this earth is a gift, and I must cherish it. Everyone will tell us survivors to let it go and move on. It sounds simple, but it's anything but simple. Organizations and communities like this help make the process of moving forward, not on, a little easier. Thank you all for continuing to support the National Center for Citizen Safety and their mission to be more prepared in those all too common events. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Next, we have, if you would join me in welcoming Dr. Rafael Matos. Dr. Matos is a highly decorated retired veteran who served 20 years in the U.S. Navy as an officer, and on September 11th, Dr. Matos witnessed the unthinkable event of the crash of American Flight 77 on the western wall of the Pentagon building, just 3 levels below what used to be his office. After reacting and assisting in the courageous efforts of rescue and recovery, he experienced significant survivor guilt before being able to focus on his talents at the service of others in the community, most recently focusing on assisting cancer survivors and their families and caregivers, both for the Livestrong and the Ullman Cancer Foundations. As if the 9/11 tragedy wasn't enough, Dr. Matos found himself again at the face of adversity at the Washington, D.C. Navy Yard on September 16, 2013, when an active assailant opened fire at 8:20 in the morning, killing multiple victims and leaving others severely wounded. If you would just join me in welcoming Dr. Matos.
Morning. Get into me. On a really beautiful morning like this, probably a little clearer, on September 11, about 17 years ago, we all just went to work, and it was just a regular day. We were just so happy to go and do the job that we were supposed to do. And then all the events that started developing in New York started surfacing. We're watching to see what's going on. And the thoughts started coming around, who's going to be next? And we thought, we're coming here. The Pentagon is such a great target. White House could have been one, but it's too small. The Capitol building, such a large building also, but that early in the morning, not too many people go there. It would have been kind of symbolic, but that's about it. But to create the damage that they were looking for, with the number of people who work in the building, we could have been it. And sure enough, about 10 minutes after that thought and that thinking started going, an aircraft came through our building. The feelings that we felt that day after trying to help the people that were around us were horrendous. The worst thing was the helplessness that we had, not being able to get closer to where the injured were. And that feeling left us with this sensation of guilt, that we did not do enough, that we did not move forward with what we could have done. But after a while, we realized, and I realized, that we have been given a clean sheet to start again, that we had another opportunity, that we were able to come out of that building and help others and continue with the work that we were supposed to do. That's how I started getting involved with the Livestrong Foundation nationally and locally with the Ullman Cancer Fund for Young Adults. These organizations focus on the patient, not the disease, and they try to help them trying to improve the lives of those who are going through their cancer journey right now. I would like you to please pause for a second and think about the victims that were injured during all these events but also remember the uninjured survivors. Those of us that witnessed these horrible events and carry no physical injuries, but carry some painful memories that will live with us forever. The key for us is not to feel guilty, to feel alive and keep moving forward and celebrate our lives the way they are, continue with our talents and at the service of our community and our families. I have a story. Last April, celebrated 10 years, observed, not celebrated, observed 10 years since the deadliest campus shooting in U.S. history at Virginia Tech. 32 people were killed and many others were injured on April 16th on the campus of Blacksburg, Virginia. Many others just observed the event, and one of them was a dear friend of mine, Lisa Hamp, and she walked out of her computer class alive that day, but she carried memories that will never go away. I tried to see if Lisa could come with us and join us today, but she could not. She went to a very deep, dark place and started eating a lot and started having problems with getting overweight and fertility problems. She realized it's time to make a change. Well, just because the community reached out to her, things worked out, and today she's living in Virginia with her husband Eric, and this year they welcomed their baby girl Gracie Marie. So it worked out. Survivor guilt can have many shapes and forms, and we can go into really dark place, but also we can go into really positive places and make a change in this world. If we stay together, we hold each other, and we can use organizations like Nick said to learn from each other and be prepared for events like these and the aftermath of these events. Maintaining a focus on a purpose, living a purposeful life, and like I always say, when you have a reason to live, you don't have a reason to quit. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nathan. Last but not least, I want to introduce to you Dahlia Morris. She's a senior special agent with the U.S. Secret Service, and she's also my friend. Dahlia began her federal career with the Department of Defense in 1997. Dahlia then transferred to the Secret Service on December 31st, 2000. She began her law enforcement career as a Uniform Division officer stationed at the Vice President's residence in Washington, D.C. And in October of 2013, Dahlia transferred over as a special agent and started her career in Houston, Texas. She is now assigned to the Office of Investigations back in her hometown of Washington, D.C. On September 11, 2001, Dahlia's life changed forever when her beautiful mother, Odessa Morris, was lost at the Pentagon. Her family's matriarch and Dahlia's role model was forever gone. And Dahlia continues to work as a federal law enforcement agent in her honor today. Please join me in welcoming Dahlia.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank Ms. Lois and her staff for all their hard work and passionate service, ensuring more and more citizens are prepared to act when tragedy strikes. Whether domestic or foreign, terrorists are planning every day to upend our way of life. That is why the work of the National Center for Citizen Safety is needed more today than ever. I'm the eldest daughter of Odessa Lamb Morris, a victim of the September 11, 2001 attack at the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. As of that day, I had been out of basic training for a little over 3 months. My mother had attended my graduation and was beaming with pride at what her daughter had accomplished, being the only female amongst 21 trainees. I had not told my parents that I was the only female because it didn't much make a difference to me. I knew that I had to complete the same training as my male counterparts or I was out of there. I remember just weeks after completing my training, I had met President George W. Bush at a local Virginia hospital he was visiting. I tried to hide in the corner with another agent when President Bush spotted me and motioned me over to come over and talk to him. He said, "How's the job going?" and he had just started himself, so I asked him the same thing. How's the job going for you? After the detail ended, I could not wait to call my mom to tell her that I had just met and had an actual conversation with the President of the United States. I could hear her voice crack just a bit, as she could sense what a big deal it was for me to have met him. She was always so proud. Little did I know that on my day off, just weeks later, on a beautiful Tuesday morning, just as today, I would be watching in absolute disbelief at what was happening in New York. And then the local news cut into the smoke at the Pentagon. I knew my mom had gone to work that day, but she was only going to stay for a few hours because it was her 25th wedding anniversary with my dad. I tried to call, but the lines were not working. So I decided to go there and look for her. I did not have a clue of the total devastation human beings could intentionally create, all because of hate. The reason I have stayed in law enforcement and that I work so diligently is that I want to make absolutely certain that I am doing my part every single day to help thwart any acts of terror committed against this country. I believe my mother gives me the strength, the ultimate strength, as this career is not easy, but it has been well worth it. And so too is this organization. Keep preparing citizens for the aftermath of domestic terror attacks. You are honoring the countless victims and their families in the work that you do. And many are, of course, volunteers. It does not go unnoticed. It is my hope that the NCC SAFE will be in existence for many years to come, contributing to the sustained efforts of educating citizens to prevent a victimization of the public at large. God bless everyone.
All right. Before we get going with the last part of this program here, let's give the fire department here and the local police department here a round of applause. And let's hope that we don't need either one of them. So, I want to thank all of our guest speakers. Thank you so much for making the time, and thanking all of you for coming out and participating. So at this point, we're going to be bestowed with our national anthem. All right, runners, please take your positions down at the starting line to your left. Workers, please stay behind the runners. Wait for the air horn, and good luck to everyone. See you at the finish line.